affirmative votes for approval of any variance or interpretation. All cases on the agenda will be heard in the order listed. The order proceeding for each case shall be as follows. City staff will make a brief presentation outlining the application. The applicant shall present their case. Persons in favor of the variance shall present their evidence. Persons opposed to the variance shall present their evidence. The applicant shall be given a rebuttal period. The public hearing will be closed and no further testimony will be accepted. The normal procedure is that the board will discuss and take action on the application. All meetings of the board are open to the public. Anyone in the audience who thinks for any reason they will speak before the board tonight, please stand and take the oath. You can't talk if you don't stand and take the oath. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth in all matters pertaining to the cases before the Board of Adjustment? Please say I do. Okay, thank you. Please be seated. All right. Roll call. Aaron Crosley.
Here.
Jack Lehman.
Here.
Sarah Wimberly.
Here.
Robert Jones.
Here.
I'm Tim Watkins, and I'm also here. At least I think I am. Okay. Let's see. The first case, well, the only case this evening is case 21-999-21. Terry and Gary Gibbs, a variance pertaining to the residential fence standards for the property at 10811 East 15th Street South. Okay. Staff got
Okay, the Hibbs seek to maintain a 6-foot chain link fence and a section of 6-foot privacy fence between the front of their house and the front property along East 15th Street. This vicinity map shows its general location. Sterling is off, it's the darker arterial off to the right, and 23rd, and Truman Road is the darker arterial to the north. This is the zoning map, shows the applicant's property in the red circle. As you can see, most of the property around there is owned single-family residential. There's a small piece of I-1, which is industrial, on the other side of the railroad tracks, which is this kind of a swoopy line that goes to the middle of the screen. This is the aerial photograph that shows the applicant's property, again in the red circle. You can see the railroad tracks clear in this photo off to the right of their property. 15th Street is to the north, and as it makes the curve there to go to the south, it becomes South Appleton Avenue. The Maiden Street to the west is South Northern Boulevard. This is an aerial of pretty much of the applicant's property. Basically, the area is enclosed by a 6-foot fence in some fashion or another, except for the part of the property where the driveway is. You will see later in other photographs. The variance is needed for the fence sections that are the blue lines that also have red attached to them. You can see over here on the front right, and then along the west side of their driveway. Here we're looking east at the west side of the property. You can see the shadow box fence that comes north from the garage to a certain point, and then it converts to a chain link fence along the driveway up to the front property. Here we're just standing on 15th Street and looking directly south at the applicant's property. Here you can see the fence along the right side or the west side of their property, and just the start of the chain link fence there on the left. I don't know if it would be better to turn the lights off in here for this or not.
right there. Those two switches.
Okay. This is the fence. We're looking to the southeast. I think Appleton Avenue starts just about where that mailbox is. From there, it's Appleton. We're standing in 15th, something like that. Again, it shows the applicant's driveway, and then the 6-foot fence goes from here and loops around. That cell tower is actually on the industrial property, which is across the railroad tracks to the east. There's another picture that shows the curve of the fence along the front property line. It's a 6-foot chain link fence. There's the gate for the person gate that accesses the mailbox. And here's another one that shows the fence line, and then this is railroad tracks that they apparently, or the previous owner had put in. And this is where the fence line comes up and stops, where the southeast corner of their property is. The applicants also put up this wood fence along the south property line. That's a bit of a sight distance, creates a sight distance problem there. Here we're looking to the northwest, we're on Appleton looking towards 15th Street. You can see the fence line there. And this is farther back on Appleton looking to the northwest. You can see the shadow box fence that's along the property line that comes out basically to the southeast corner of their property. That bridge off in the distance is a person bridge that goes over the railroad tracks. And here's another a shot of that, again, the bridge that goes over the railroad tracks. The issues for the applicant include that there are homeless that go up and down the railroad tracks. And there's also trash and debris from the tracks that you can see. If you've been out there, at least the trash and debris was evident. And I can show any of those to you again if you'd like to see them.
Anybody want to see any of those pictures again? No? Okay.
These are good in packet. Yes.
Were there any calls on this?
Yeah, we
particular-
did have one call, one neighbor that was not happy about this situation that was against the fence.
Okay. All right. And has anyone gone out and checked the line of sight issue or potential line of sight issue with that privacy fence? Somebody from Public Works or?
Yeah, our traffic engineer went out and reviewed the site, and they feel the fence is about, even if it were a lower standard of 3 feet along portions of the fence, it's too close to the road. It needs to be back a foot or two, because as you can see from these photographs, especially with the fence along the south property line, it creates a real, if you're coming south here, you can't really see very far. I mean, you can see down to about where on the road where the fence is, and that's it. You have limited sight distance there. The road's not very wide, so it would be better if the fence were moved back. In addition to some of it lowered.
So the variance we're reviewing, or the variance request we're reviewing is for height, am I correct?
For a portion of this fence, yes. As shown in this,
Just what's in front of the home?
yeah, as shown in this drawing right there.
Okay, but not the setback issue.
Yeah, we'll have to deal with that through
That's something somebody else is gonna have
through
to
public
figure
works.
out.
We'll have to deal, or municipal services.
Okay. Yeah, I knew they changed what they call themselves. Okay. Well. Okay. If the applicant would please come forward come to the podium, speak into the microphone, and tell us your name, your address. It's all being recorded for
Okay.
posterity, of course.
I'm loud. Okay. So, I'm Terry Hibbs. I'm Gary Hibbs's.
Yeah, you need to kind of adjust it down a little bit for you.
Better?
Yeah.
No?
Is it coming through?
It'll really bend. You can bend it towards you. There you go. Mic works.
Yeah, the mic's on, so.
Okay. Is that better?
That is better, thank
Okay.
you.
I'm Terry Hibbs. I'm Gary Hibbs's mother. I live at 2314 South Harris. This is my son's address, the one in question here. And first of all, we did not know when we put the fence up that it was going against any city ordinance. He had a baby on the way. It was a rush job. The housing market, it was like crazy. I'm sure it still is. Kid was offering $20,000 to $30,000 over asking prices and was still getting outbidded. The realtor knew this property owner. It never hit the market. The guy was willing to work with us. There was a lot of work that needed to be done to the property before he could move into it. I mean, we started working on the house weeks prior to the closing date just so that we could close. Rushed to get this property, not 100% happy with it. I mean, it's right across the street from a railroad track. Okay, so we never knew when we put the fence up that it was against city ordinance. I do feel like it's important for it to be 6 foot because of it's right across the street from a railroad track. We have a baby. I mean, he's buying this house. He's not renting it, which is what the neighbors are used to for the last 20 years. Can't come out and ask a homeowner to shut their desk down light off at 10 o'clock. You can't ask them, not to spray for mosquitoes because of it is a mosquito spreading breed around there. So the privacy fence was a request from the neighbor and us because we have dogs, or he has dogs. They have a dog. When the dogs are outside together, they just bark. They're dogs. No big deal, but his dog is quite a bit older. He didn't want his dog getting upset all the time. So we told him we planned on putting up a privacy fence from the beginning. He asked us numerous times, when are you going to get the fence up? When are you going to get the fence up? Finally, my husband and my son told him, look, Marty, if you want to pay for half of it, we can get it done a lot quicker. The kid just moved in. He's had to put out tons of money to get the house.
Can you clarify, is this the owner to the south, to the west?
To the west, I believe.
Right there by your driveway,
No, I'm sorry, on the other side.
so it'd be to the south.
Yes. So, things quieted down a little bit after that. When they finally got the money to get the privacy fence, lumber was out the roof. Put the privacy fence up, everything was great. We put the 6 foot chain link fence up. Now, I can see on this side where you're saying the fence might need to be moved back. That would not be a problem. I mean, we did not mean to impede any visual traffic. That's why we did, on the driveway side, we did so many feet back chain link fence, so it would not block traffic. So that would not be a problem moving it up. But I do feel it is important for the 6 foot chain link fence to be up. That way the dogs can't get out, no dogs can come in. There's a lot of dogs in the neighborhood. The homeless population coming down through the tracks and underneath the bridge is ridiculous. There's nothing anybody can do about it. So we have to live with it because where are they gonna go? We called the police on them numerous times. The trash, it's not just like, sometimes it's a lot of household trash. We've seen mattresses thrown down there. If you walk down through there, there's contrabands. So I am thinking as a mother and as a grandmother, it's important to have the 6 foot fence up. I don't want no kids to get through it. I don't want nobody else to be able to come through. I mean, it's that close to the street. And even if a car swerved over hard enough, or a big truck, it's gonna come through the yard too, as a safety. I believe it's It's not, if it's aesthetics, that's the problem. Do something about the graffiti on the bridge. That's what makes it, I mean, he's worked so hard to get this house and to get it to where it's 100% better than what it was. It's improved that neighborhood, it's improved the block. There's no property, houses right directly across the street from him that would have a problem. You know, so it's not in viewpoint of any other resident in front of his property. And, you know, that's just, he's just spent so much money, he's worked so hard. It wasn't hurting anybody, it's improved the property, it's improved the neighborhood. Plenty of people have walked by and said it. I could see moving the privacy fence back to get that view. But I would request for you guys to please let us keep the 6-foot fence up. You know, it's not visual, it's regulation with it being, you have to be able to see 50% transparent through it. Chain link fence is that. I mean, it's just the height, and there's nobody, it's not hurting anything. He's a homeowner, he's trying to be a homeowner there. He's not a renter.
Anybody have any questions for this lady?
Did you all have the property surveyed? Do you know where the property lines are? Because a lot of times the edge of the road is not where the property line is. The property corners can be back 7 or 8 feet.
Right.
And
No,
so
we do not.
if it's not surveyed, then how do you know where the,
No,
where to put?
we do not have it surveyed.
I'm not trying to tell you to get one. I'm just saying when you don't have a survey, you can't tell where, unless you've got property corners you know are there. Iron pin or a pipe or.
Well, now,
I'm just-
even on
I'm
my
just-
property, even with I know where my property line is, regardless of where the property line is, the city still owns from the middle of the street 25 feet back.
Right. I was just wondering if you had a survey,
no.
because sometimes when you do these things, you think you know where the corners are. My father and I were in this land surveying business, and most of the time they're not where you think they are. I mean, you can't just say, oh, there's the corner. You can't do that. I mean, that's where surveyors, I'm not trying to tell you to get a survey. I'm just saying when you go out and see property, you can't tell if
Well,
that
there's
fence is in the right place or not. It could be, could not be. I don't know.
The front of the fence, is that what you're talking about?
I'm just talking about the right-of-way of the road itself. I don't know where the right-of-way begins and ends. In other words,
That's
all
not
I'm
really
asking.
within our purview anyway. That's something
Okay.
that
Well, I just wondered if
the city's gonna have to make a determination there.
Well, we don't either. We don't have surveyors on our staff.
No,
but,
what I'm talking about as far as this fence being set back from the road, that's something they're
Well-
gonna have to make a determination on.
This is an unusual case because I'm not sure the right-of-way is a complete 50 feet, and then you've got the railroad tracks beside it, so that kind of adds to it. But they would have to start in the southwest corner and then measure out from there instead of trying to work from the street. Because at least the southwest corner may be a known point, or usually is a known point in this case. Better to work backwards than try to work from the street.
Okay, any other questions for this lady?
I don't have any more at this time.
Sarah, any questions?
No.
Aaron? Jack?
We don't, do we actually know where the street right away is at this point?
Well, not at this point. Like I said, in this case, really the only way to know the edge of the right-of-way is probably start from the southwest corner and then measure off the distance. North and south would provide the edge of the right-of-way.
Right.
But this is a narrow street. The pavement may not be in the middle of the right-of-way. It's probably not. So you can't really work from the street side. You have to work from the internal. So I can't say that we do know.
Well, if there's a
Yeah, the fence here is, good chance it is in the right of way now, but I couldn't say that for sure. Because in some of these neighborhoods, the right of way is not 50 feet, it's actually 40 or something. Especially in this street where it's somewhat narrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Gary Hibbs. I live at 10811 East 15th Street. And also every fence that we built on there, we built on top of. The only fence that we did not build on top of was along the driveway side. And the side on the, away from the driveway, the south side, I think it is. We built that on our side of the neighbor's fence. So there's also still another fence that's there that was also taller. So every fence that was pre-existing there was 39 inches when we first moved in, and then the fence that's against our neighbor's side that we built our wooden privacy fence against is also 48 inches. So every fence that we've already built on, chain link across the front, we just added 2 foot on top there, and then on the other side there, we just built our privacy fence on the inside of our yard and left the pre-existing fence that was already there.
Okay. How tall did you say that the original fence was?
The original 6-foot chain link fence that we have there now, it was originally 39 inches. 3 feet is 36 inches. And then the fence that we built, our privacy fence on the inside of, on our side of the yard, his fence that was there is 48 inches.
You can kind of actually see it in the picture where you can see where the old pole was.
Yeah.
And then they added some of the new pole on top instead of,
And then the
Are
fence
you
that
talking
was
about the
also-
privacy fence here or the chain link
the
fence?
chain link fence.
I was talking about both.
The privacy, but that fence is on the side, it's not along the street. But even on the other side of the privacy fence, where that fence right there in front of the neighbor's house is 48 inches. I don't think there's a fence in that neighborhood, let alone Independence, that's only 36 inches tall. I'm 5'2", I can step over 36 inches.
Okay. Well, any questions for this gentleman? Okay. In one of the pictures, it showed a shorter fence with like a agricultural gate. How tall is that fence?
4 feet.
48 inches?
The black gate, the actual gate part is 4 feet, and then the other fence below it is what was originally as tall as what was in front of the house. We just actually recycled that fence and put it there, and it's 39 inches.
It's 39?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know where people find 39-inch wire.
Yeah, I don't know either. But
Just to be clear, you're talking about looking at the picture now.
Yes.
yes, the gate's 4 feet, and then the fence along it is how tall the fence was originally that was around the house.
Okay. All right. Any questions, Jack?
No,
Bob?
There in the front, did you say it was, you had a fence along the front all the way around on the arc? Where you have the curve?
Yes, from when I first bought the house, it had that the same way the fence is set up. Like all we done across this chain link fence is you can see where the top of the poles is silver. We added on just another couple of feet upon each one, and then ran the top rail across, and then bought 6-foot chain link and stretched it across. So we didn't move the fence forward or backwards. We just built what was already pre-existing there.
I mean, where the posts were there and you
Yes, we just built on top of them posts. So and that's the exact location that the chain link fence has been there since the retaining wall has been there.
So, questions right now, anyway.
Okay. Sarah?
You answered mine.
Okay. Okay. No other questions for this gentleman? Okay. Well, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this variance request?
Hi, my name is Brianna, and I live at 10811 East 15th Street South. And I believe that the 6-foot chain link would be okay just because I do have a child that lives there, and we do have dogs that people walk their dogs up and down Inglewood pretty often. And so we do have dogs that walk up and down the sides of the fence. And along with the privacy fence, that was a problem from the beginning, which we told him, our neighbor, before we moved in, that we had 2 big dogs and that, you know, they would probably run up and down and bark at each other. And that was a problem. So it became, you know, we let our dogs out one at a time. And so we put the privacy fence up, and I thought everything would be fine, you know, until we had a letter from the city. And yeah.
Okay. Any questions for this young lady?
Could I get your full name again?
Brianna Kirsch.
Hirsch?
Yep, it's Kirsch.
K-S?
No, Kirsch. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stuart, just for clarification, that south privacy fence is not anything we're dealing with tonight. Am I correct on that? On the south one, not,
No, that's something that municipal services is going to have to do.
yeah, they're going to have to figure out if it needs to be set back a little further.
That's right.
Okay. But that's,
We won't even have to come to that. We will.
Well, yeah.
but I mean, we're not, the height of that fence is not an issue for us to deal with. It's just what's in front of the house. Okay, so was that the privacy fence you were talking about?
Yep.
As far as the issue with dogs and
Yeah.
Okay,
The other
okay,
one, it's we just built it.
Okay, okay. Ma'am, you need to wait until you get to come up here, and then you're free to tell us, because we can't hear you with the mask and without the microphone. So so you don't have to tell your story twice, okay? Okay, anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, we don't have anybody online tonight, do we?
No one wishing to speak, no.
Okay, okay.
Just staff members.
I just wanted to make sure before we go switching it around. All right, anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please come to the podium, tell us your name and your address, and then please tell us, what's going on.
Hi, my name is Nancy Bolyard. I live at 1506 South Appleton Avenue. That is the house to the south of the house that you're talking about.
On the other side of that privacy fence in the picture?
Yes.
Okay,
The privacy fence, as they already said they'll move it back, that's fine. However, if they do that and they try to put a 6-foot chain link fence, they are once again going to be adding to our fence, which is something we've asked them not to do. The privacy fence originally went up, and I don't know if you can see this, but this is the side that was to us.
Yeah, I really can't see that. I'm sorry.
But you have to be on the record, so you're just gonna have to leave those up there and let them look through it.
Okay.
So we're talking.
Okay. The original complaint was about the way that that looked and the fact that on every single black post, it was attached to the top rail of our chain link fence with screws. When we complained about the fence because it was, the smooth side wasn't on our side, they rebuilt the fence and they tried to shadow box it, but it's solid on one side, and on the other side, if you'll notice, there are spaces that are 6 inches, an inch, 5 inches. The boards are all different widths. And we've been in our house for 24 years. We've had at least 15 other people living in the house next door. We've never had a problem. We've always gotten along with our neighbors. We asked them at one point if they would redirect the overhead light because it shined right in my bedroom window, and even with privacy shades, with blackout shades, it shines right through it. So I've had to redirect my entire night's sleep because of this light that's on their house. But that wasn't a problem. I wasn't going to say anything else about that. I got another shade. But after rebuilding the fence and looking at it and realizing that they don't care what it looks like on our side, and they're still attached to our fence in 2 places, they're still screwed into our fence in 2 places. When the wind blows, it shakes our whole fence. We're afraid that if a big storm comes up, that their fence will totally demolish ours because of the way it's built. It's on very small poles. The poles are concrete. They are cemented into the ground. So that is a good thing. I understand that, but I do believe that it's kind of a dangerous fence next to our chain link fence. And they did suggest building a privacy fence between the houses, but we've had our chain link fence there ever since we moved in. And we don't want a privacy fence. They're hard to take care of. The upkeep on them is difficult. And we just didn't want to deal with that. So.
Well, I say you have a legitimate concern as far as the stability of the fence.
And also, I can't see to back out of my driveway. No matter how far I go back, I can't see around that corner.
Well, that's for
But
someone
I
else
know
to
you're
make a
working on
determination
that.
on. That's not our deal.
So,
But as far as a privacy fence goes, they catch a lot of wind. And you're supposed to have a 4x4 at least 24 inches into the ground, and preferably 30 set in concrete to stabilize the panels because of the kind of wind they catch. And we all know around here we get a lot of wind out of the south and a lot of the west. And so yes, I understand your concern as far as what's holding that fence up. And you're right to be concerned about that.
well, just since it's been up, we've already lost limbs out of our tree. Our tree's 100 years old.
Yeah.
And when the wind blows hard enough, we lose limbs. And I believe, is that made out of pine? Is that what you said? Their privacy fence? It's made out of pine, so it's not even a very hard wood.
Now, that's not a rule
Oh, I know
as
that.
far as what type of post you have to use. That's just from a number of years being in the fence business. I know that, so, because I've had to go out and repair
So
But those are our
Fences.
concerns. Their 6-foot privacy fence in the front of their house, I didn't have a problem with that. It doesn't block anything from us.
Okay.
So
Well-
if they're asking for a variance for that fence in the front, I don't care.
Yeah, that's all that
I
that's
mean,
all we're dealing with tonight. That's
But
the
as
case.
far as the fence and the way that I read it, it's supposed to be the smooth side out, and it's supposed to be braced so that it won't fall over, and that was my complaint originally.
Yeah, well, generally, it's a neighbor-friendly fence, which shadow box is considered neighbor-friendly, or pickets on the outside
Well, that wasn't done very,
is what supposed to be, and that's a rule of thumb for the most part, unless you have a neighbor that's splitting the cost and they just don't care. I mean, but
that one's just, I wouldn't have minded had it been a shadow box,
right.
but that's not. That's covering up the poles on our side because we complained about it.
Sure. And I understand. They were trying to do it in a less expensive way, and I
I
can
agree.
appreciate that, you know. I was young starting out one time too, and remember when money was tight. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions for this lady?
The previous speakers for the other side had said that they discussed a fence with you. What were your expectations exactly for the fence?
They told us they were going to put up a privacy fence because we were weird and they didn't want to look at us. That was the extent of the conversation about the privacy fence. When they first came to talk to us, they suggested that we tear down our chain link fence and we could build a privacy fence together. And we said, no, we did not want to do that. We'd had our privacy fence or our chain link fence for 24 years. We were perfectly happy with it. And it may be 48 inches, but I believe the 36-inch rule is for the front of the house. I've never measured ours, so I don't have a clue. It was there when we moved in. So, yeah. Like we've been there 24 years, so everything there has been there ever since we moved in. Well, yeah.
Aaron? Nothing? Jack?
No.
Bob?
Not right now. I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
This is she needs her pictures back.
Oh,
Those are hers.
she wants these back.
Or did you want, oh, yeah, here we go.
Thank you.
We got some more here for you.
Oh, we're good. Did you get them all? Sir?
I think so.
Thank you.
My name is Marty Bolliard, and I live at 1506 South Appleton Avenue. There are a couple different things. Well, I thought we were here for the privacy fence. I didn't realize we were here for the chain link. But I had one thing to say about that as far as it, the fear of homeless people. We've lived in our house for 24 plus years. I helped raise my daughter in my house, and we've had the same fence in that time, and we haven't had any issues with homeless people. We have the occasional person come by for food or something, and we tell them no. They go about their business. In the corner that we live on, there's been a number of accidents right there, which is one reason why we were here for the privacy fence, the wood one, because that's really dangerous. And that sign there that they put up, drive like your kids live here, it's completely nullified for that very reason. You can't see anything around that corner. When you try to back out of our driveway, you can't see anything. There's nothing. You don't know who's coming. We got people that all hours, day and night, honk around that corner. 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, they're honking to let people know on the other side that they're coming around. And when they come from their side to ours, they don't hug the right corner like they should. They take a wide left, which is right into the traffic, which is horrible. That's how a lot of the accidents happened over the years. So there's no safety there. We're just waiting for someone to get killed or ass-ended or something.
Do you live to the west of their place, or are you south of them?
We're right before you get to the bend.
Right before you get to the curve there?
Yeah. If you take a look at the sign says 15th Street, South Appleton Avenue. 15th goes around the corner.
So is this where the privacy fence is here? There's no privacy fence here. This
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought I had the street sign. Oh, yeah, you can see it right down there,
says,
right at the last arrow.
I'm kind of confused on that. Right here.
Do you know, I don't know if I'm on there. Do you know if a traffic study's ever been done? I mean, sometimes if a study is done, they can move street signs when they determine that's a better place. Maybe there's a better place.
Well, truth be told, the railing that's there has been demolished at least once or twice because of people going around the corner and gone through the railing and down the embankment.
You mean that walkover thing?
As you're seeing it right here, you see the railing over here to the left with the black and the yellow signs. They put those up over the years.
The guardrails there on the left.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for this gentleman?
So
Yeah.
the original fence was up against those railroad ties, right?
Pretty much. Any more questions for this gentleman?
I have one more thing to say.
Okay.
If you go back to the photograph from our side, right, no, go back. Right there. Okay, you'll see 2 sets of tire burnouts. One of them was because of Junior back here, and the other one was because of his friend. They did that 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, woke me up. And they did it on purpose. I know that has nothing to do with what's going on here.
I've got 3 numbers for you. It's called 911, when it comes to
Well,
that.
We'll do that in the future.
But that's not something we can do.
I understand.
anything about. Okay, anything else for this gentleman? Not hearing anything? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this variance request?
I'll be short and sweet. I'm her brother, I live at 81812 East Red Road, Independence, Missouri. Concern I have is, like they've already stated, where that little sign is, you cannot see. I was over there first of the week, almost got clipped because you've got to come so far out. So that is a real hazard. That's all I have to say, and let's go home.
Thank you.
So it's a real hazard there.
Okay, yeah, but that's something that
That's not part of what we're doing.
Public Works is gonna have to make a determination on that, or city services,
But I guess this must be the people that lead.
so. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak on this tonight?
Say one
Because this
Well,
isn't where
just, hold on. I'll give you a chance.
this is where they're talking about,
Okay.
where they have attached.
No one else wishing to speak in opposition? Okay. All right. Applicant can come up and we'll have a opportunity for you to rebut this and
So the only thing that I've heard is about the privacy fence being, impairing the vision there. So it's no problem. We don't want to cause any accidents. And like he said, the guardrail's been demolished. You know, there's lots of wrecks around there. That just strengthens my feeling that the 6-foot fence needs to be there.
well, the 6-foot fence will not stop a vehicle, I promise
Well,
you.
no,
I
but
made
it
a
might-
lot of money repairing
Well,
6-foot
I know
fences that
it-
have been driven through.
I know you can still go through it, but it is gonna help, just like the guardrail, correct? The guardrail's not gonna stop a car, but it's gonna slow it down. But there's no problem with moving the privacy fence back to, we don't wanna cause any accidents or any safety issues.
Well,
Everything else
I'm quite sure
between the neighbors and
that
us.
when they come
going.
out, city services comes out and they look at that and make the determination, they'll tell you to move it and how far it needs to be moved.
Okay,
That's not on us. They've got a formula for figuring all that out, and that's on them. So, all we're here for is the height of the fence that is
Correct.
in front of the or the structure,
Correct.
primary structure. So, okay. Anything else?
no, that's it.
No. Okay. Any questions for these folks while they're still almost at the podium? No? Okay. Thank you. All right. At this point, we're going to close the public hearing, and we're going to have a discussion on this.
Mr. Chairman, if you mind, I'd like to ask Rick, who is watching on on video, if he has any comments that relates to this issue. Rick, did you have anything?
Yeah, Rick Arroyo, Assistant Community Development Director. I just wanted to point out that we did have Mark Green, our traffic engineer, take a look at this fence. And even at 36 inches, the fence is still located, and this includes that 6-foot portion within the site triangle. So I just want to make sure that that was understood on staff's side.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, they're going to have to make a determination how much it's going to have to move then. So, all right. Well, what do you guys think? I know there's been a lot of things said and everything, and let's make sure we're all on the same page here.
The original 3.
We are here to determine whether a variance is in, they need a variance for the 6-foot height in front of the structure, the primary structure of the house. Don't worry about the privacy fence on the south side. It says setback, the city's on that. They're gonna deal with that.
The
So,
3-foot fence that was there originally,
well, it was 39 inches.
39 inches.
That was here.
Yes,
And it's been extended
yes.
to where it's 6 feet. Was that legal?
As you can see from the photograph here, if you see the screen, the lower part of this fence is a darker gray, and then they added the top.
Yeah, they just put another pole on.
Yeah, exactly. And only part of it would have been legal, not being in the front yard.
But it was non-conforming.
Legal non-conforming,
Yeah.
probably due to the age.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
It's-
sure.
There's probably a lot of those fences in the city.
I'm sure.
Well, is it still legal non-conforming if they take the top 3 feet off?
Well,
Since since they modified it?
Well, once you go to this, they would have to come into conformance with our current standards, which would be 36. Conceivably, they could take the piece off the top and then just insert the lower fabric of the 36 inches instead of, I don't know, I didn't even know they made it 39.
Well,
I thought it went from 36 to 42.
It's harder than heck to find 36-inch chain link wire now because there's not a real demand for it.
Yeah.
You know, I called some of the wholesalers I used to deal with, and they were saying, well, you can't get anything shorter than 42. So, because there's not been enough demand, I don't think anybody's weaving it. Which, if we granted them a variance for 42, I mean, obviously, the 6 foot is just, no, they're gonna have to move it anyway, I'm sure, once it's all said and done. So, but, if we were to grant them, variance for something shorter,
What's the problem when it's on a dangerous curve? When it's a see-through, I could see if it'd been wood like.
well, I
privacy
think that
fence,
privacy
then
fence
not
is the big issue, but there's also a setback.
Mhm.
And we're not sure what it is on that particular road and on that curve, because the road's a weird road. It's a narrow road. I mean,
Well, and there's no sidewalk.
no, definitely not a sidewalk. So, but so we don't know where that fence is actually gonna end up as far as where it sits.
No.
That'll be something that's determined by city services. And of course,
Is this where
the privacy fence is gonna get set back a little
Still
bit
kind
too at some
this is
point
where the problem is.
when they do that. The height is what we're dealing
Is this what
with,
they showed us?
and then what's in front of the house. Now, what's behind the house is legal conforming.
Right.
So, there's not an issue as far as being semi-transparent, because it's chain link, it's more than 50% transparent. So that's not an issue as far as that goes. It's the height. What do you guys think? They're requesting to keep the 6 foot. I think that's, I don't really want to set that precedence.
Right.
But they do need a fence, and they probably need something taller than 36 inches. And not only that, where would you find it? I mean, you'd have to take chain link and cut it all down to do a 36-inch fence, and that would be a pain. So, and I understand their concern as far as the trash blowing in the yard
Sure.
and, if you got dogs, you got kids, I mean, they've got some legitimate concerns. So,
Out of control car can
well,
go right in the yard, I suppose, too.
yeah. So, any thoughts?
If the other fence that they put the privacy fence in front of is 4 feet, what about if they just lowered it by 1 foot?
You'd have to lower 2 foot, from 6 to 4.
No, I was
Is that what
talking
you're
about
thinking?
going down 8 foot to 5 feet, just to be protected, because it's right on the curve.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the retaining wall
I
is going to do a better job of keeping something out than the fence. The fence will. The retaining wall that's already there
You
is
mean
going to do
this
more.
right
Right.
here?
It'll do more than the fence will just be plowed right through, no matter what height it is.
So you mean that curb, you're referring
Yeah,
to that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I heard that earlier, I wasn't sure where that was.
Well, we had that one case recently, I think it was a couple months ago, when the folks that lived at 39th and Chrysler, remember, they wanted to do the ornamental iron, and we brought that height down quite a bit, because they wanted to do 6 foot.
Yeah. I actually went by there, happened to go by there about a week ago or so, and I guess they found that the wrought iron's a lot more expensive than they thought it was.
You bet it
They
is.
ended up not putting up the fence, and he ended up putting a privacy fence further
I
back
saw that too.
in the right place and skipping the wrought iron altogether.
Yeah. But we brought that height down a fair amount, if I recall. I think it went from 6 to 4.
I think it was 4, yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't have an issue with 48. I'm telling them, I wouldn't have an issue with 48 inches in front. It's a real common
Yeah.
height, and, you know, yeah, you'd have to cut your post down. You could still use your top rail, and, yeah, you'd have to set a terminal, a couple terminals, and that way you could put your brace bands, tension bands on to do the conversion, but, and it's taller than what that one fence is going along the side of the driveway. It's 39 inches. So if that's keeping dogs in, then obviously the 48 would too. I understand people, you know, that would also deter people from walking across your yard, which is always an issue when you live on a corner.
And it would conform more to the neighborhood, what's already
Well,
existing
and
in the
if the
neighborhood.
neighbor had 48 inch,
Right.
yes, that would look more
Yeah.
like it belongs and blend in
I
better
agree.
than,
Yeah.
so, I mean, but that would only be the one part that is in
Right.
front of the house.
Right.
The
right.
rest of it could stay the 6
same.
foot and,
Yeah.
you know, because that's legal. So, you guys need a compass? Okay. What do you, you're south there. That's the south.
That's the same,
Yeah, hold on a second.
this is what we were talking about before.
Here's south. Okay. This is north. This is west. They would have to do something here. City'd have to deal with this right here. And they may end up having to deal with all of this. But right here where the red line is, around the blue, that's what we're having addressed right now. This is all legal, all of just the blue. Correct, Stuart? It's the blue line with the red outlining it.
That's correct.
That is the front that we're dealing with.
Mhm.
They show a picture of
That way.
right? That's where they're showing a picture.
Yeah, well, from this point, wherever that line would end up, and then around to there. That's the front from that point forward. Okay. So it's right here. That way you know exactly what we're talking about. So I don't know, what do you folks think?
Yeah, I'm not inclined to improve it as is, but at 48 inches, I'd be fine with that.
You'd be fine with 48? Okay. What do you think, Sarah?
I think no shorter about that than 48, because of where it is.
Right. What do you think, Bob?
The city thinks, right now, this fence was roughly about 44, wasn't it? They've added another
Well, it was at 39,
39.
what he said.
They've added almost 3 feet to it.
Yeah, just about.
From here up,
Yeah. Well, they just
I mean, they just-
raised the post and then used 6-foot wire, but yeah.
So, that would be something. the
What do you
city-
think?
I could go with maybe 4, I think. I mean, but I think 6 is.
Damn it.
We've got all these, we haven't even mentioned, we've got 6 of these criteria, and it doesn't meet any of them.
I know.
It doesn't meet one.
I know.
They're all no's. So that means we've got
And that's all based
Do you have any other fences around that area that are 6 foot high in the front like this?
Not that I recall. I didn't drive extensively through the neighborhood to see, but I don't recall anything in the front yard like this.
Normally, you don't even see fences like that in the front.
I mean, I saw some in corner lots that were along the back of the house that went out to, the property line, but nothing like this.
I've seen 48-inch fence around the whole yard in some of the older neighborhoods here in Independence. In fact, I think I owned a few houses that were like that.
But 6 feet, 6 feet.
No, they were 48-inch, and they were older chain link fences, In fact, I think one of them had cast fittings that were from Burge way back in the day. Late 50s, early 60s.
You've got to look at
So,
criteria here is also, it's not just.
yeah. Well, does the house to the south of it have chain link fence in front? Thought it did. Thought the picture showed that. Thank you.
I just have one thing to say about that. If you take a look at one of the photos that he took, you'll see that they extended it 2 to 3 foot up from our corner. They did not bother to ask us.
Okay. So the house right behind them has chain link fence in the front. So,
Quite big, it isn't 6 foot.
no, it's not. So,
Well, if you're, say, number 4, the versus done. This is 73. Seems like it's gonna be at least 3 feet, no? At least
we had the case last month that we did on the wood fence where he had to remove pickets and then also had to cut it down.
On the traffic study.
And it was taller than 36 inches. So
When I heard of it,
we're not
those
really,
posts would have been painted white.
we're not walking on the moon with
Where
this
it'd be
deal.
backing up, there's these
We were
giant
to
rocks. I mean,
put something forward.
I suppose that's not okay either. I mean, I bet it's not, I bet it isn't. So that's why I didn't understand, because it looks
Well,
transparent to me.
so if it's, well, it's probably gonna be close to what the neighbor's front fence is, if it, because it's either probably 42 or 48. Those were real common, especially in front yards back in the day. So, what do you think, Jack? Are we doing math?
I was just trying to get.
Would everybody speak into the microphones though, please? Be on the record.
Mine off.
If the little green light is on, that means you're on, the microphone is on.
I was just trying to work up a wording. How this,
How to put forth a motion?
for a motion, I haven't come up with anything yet.
Would you like to put forth a motion, Aaron?
Sure. Are we ready for that? We good? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I move to approve case 21-999-21 with the condition that it be granted at 48 inches
Not to exceed.
and not to exceed 48 inches. Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's take this thing to a vote. All right. Let's see. Aaron Crosley,
Yes.
Jack Lehman,
I vote yes.
Sarah Wimberly,
Yes.
Robert Jones.
Yes.
I vote yes as well. You have a variance, but not to exceed 48 inches in the front where the issue of the height was.
So if you go from the front of the house, you go from 4 foot, and that goes to 6 foot there.
I'll get with you tomorrow, and actually what that staff report sent out to you earlier had the drawing of where you need to change it to. Did you get this drawing?
So it has to be.
Yeah, wherever
this
it's
right here
red,
to be- And then this part here could stay 6 foot,
yeah.
and
But
this part here could stay 6 foot.
wherever it's red, that needs to change to 42. Wherever it's red, it needs to change to 48. And when the traffic guy comes out to look, he'll decide
he's got 6
how much
months
this needs to be
to get
moved
this
back.
done?
I can't hear you.
6 months?
Oh, they want to know how much
get this
time
done?
that you've got?
Well,
It's cold. It's
honestly, in this situation, it would be wise to wait until the traffic people come out and get an opportunity to look at that, because if you're going to have to move the fence, you don't want to fix it and change it and then have to move it again. You know, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll have to work that out between the traffic engineer and also code compliance,
Right.
which is, you know,
Well,
it's
the-
their
the
case.
48-foot section and then the
You
traffic
need to get
part
over
section.
there. You need to speak on the microphone.
Well, the 48-foot section and the traffic part, in the side over there, the privacy fence, them are two separate things, aren't they? Them aren't the same scenarios.
Yeah, but they all relate to the fence. I mean, it's all, you still might have to move the 48.
You might have to move all of it.
Yeah,
Well, on that outer perimeter.
yeah.
Even though
Depending
it
on
was,
what the study ends up when the city comes out there and does it.
The traffic guy
They'll
came
tell
out
you.
and checked, said that
yeah, but the
within a
fence is
triangle.
already there.
That was within a triangle.
I just don't want you to have to do all this
Yeah,
and
do-
then have to move
Do
the
the
whole
work, do the
thing,
work again.
So we'll wait, yeah.
because that could be a pain. Well, none of it's gonna be fun, but
Okay, so just wait until we get instructions from the judge.
well,
We'll get back
probably
to
ought
you.
to talk to Stewart or Community Development, and
Yeah, we'll get back to you in the next couple days.
that way they can tell you when all this is gonna occur, and, you know, that way he can get you informed, he can figure it out and let you know. It is. Okay, everybody get an opportunity to review the minutes from October 21st meeting.
I move we approve them as presented.
A second.
Got it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anybody opposed? Nope. All right. Is there anything else we need to deal with?
We understand there's going to be at least one case in December, but they haven't made the application yet. They're supposed to come in tomorrow,
Okay.
which is really the last day, and maybe two, but at least one. Another fence, I believe. Yeah, you can leave.
It rains and
Yeah.
pours.
Saving the world one fence at a time.
But this wasn't the same case as anything like this. It's more basic.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, did you want to adjourn the meeting?
Oh, meeting adjourned.